Welcome back to the Crypto Market Updates channel. Today is the 14th of November, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about mining pools, and specifically about whether to join large or small mining pools and the pros and cons of each. So make sure to smash up the likes on this video, stick around till the very end so you don't miss any of the details of what the heck I'm going to be talking about, and of course subscribe to the channel. Giddy up! If you're mining any kind of cryptocurrency, you probably have been asking yourself which pool to use, especially when you're a new miner like myself. I've been asking the same question and I wasn't really sure the answer to that question was, what the answer to that question was. I was leaning towards joining a larger pool because I mistakenly presumed that a larger pool would yield more profits. Reasons that I'm going to explain, that is not necessarily reasons that I'm going to explain to you right now in this video, that may not necessarily be true. The mining of cryptocurrencies and the math behind it is not as simple as ABC, plus or minus, larger or smaller. The arithmetic is a little bit more complicated, and of course we're not talking about swimming pools as the ones here. So the reason why this conversation was brought upon me was the fact that I am mining in the meowcoin mining pools. And the meowcoin network right now has a comparatively small hash rate. The network overall has a 64 gigahash all in all. And the top four pools, or three pools really, have the most hashing power out of all of them. The top one, obviously, with 32 gigahash, has the highest number. And the whole point of mining in cryptocurrency is obviously to be decentralized. And it's hard to be decentralized when you have one pool hugging, or one miner hugging all the mining power. That kind of, goes against the whole idea of decentralization. So the first thing that you might want to consider when choosing a pool is how decentralized is the mining hash rate, the network overall. There are really two things that you want to consider. First is the ethical benefits of joining a smaller versus a larger pool, and of course second one is you'll be looking for profits, because that's essentially what we're here for. We're here for the cash. Some of us are here for the technology, but mainly we're here for the money. So to give you an example here, Wooly Poly has a hash rate of 32.48 gigahash, Rplant 16.13 gigahash, and Coin Miners 5.89 gigahash, and then Fastpool's got 1.95 gigahash, and then it just drops below 1 gigahash on the subsequent pools for the next 12 or 8, I guess, until it reaches number 13, at which point there is no hashing power. And the hash power in percentage wise on Wooly Poly constitutes about 53.4% or so of the overall hash power of the network, which is a little bit lower than it was yesterday. Yesterday, I think it stood at 64. Maybe, or maybe I misread it. In any case, 53 is still quite a lot. Yeah, I just looked. This constitutes 52%, and Rplant has 32%, and Coin Miners actually doesn't really show on this one because it's too small, but it dropped right now too. And it's probably because of my hash power that I took out. So I contribute about 100 mega hash and overall, which doesn't really make a massive dent, but it does take away a little bit. So 53% on one mining pool is not great for decentralization, clearly, right? So, and if you look at the times between last blocks found, Wooly Poly, the last block found was 7 minutes ago. In the second largest one, Rplant, the last block was found 5 minutes ago. On Coin Miners, it says 14 minutes. I'm not sure that's accurate because I've been getting pings from Coin Miners. I am with Coin Miners and I've been getting pings from them letting me know that a block was found literally just a couple of minutes ago. And so the presumption that, if you're in a smaller pool is is that you will not be receiving payments as often as you would in a larger pool, plus that the payments will be smaller, and that it couldn't be farther from the truth in most cases. Another quick thing, if you notice, I guess some people choose to join pools based on the fees. So coin miners fees are 1%. Most of the fees are 1%. Woolly Poly, the miners on Woolly Poly are 0.9%, which is a difference of 0.01%, which is minuscule. And I've talked to the coin miners, the guys running coin miners, and they said their fees were 0.5%, but they had to jack up the prices because there weren't enough people and they just were not making enough money to cover the costs for the pool. And so again, the assumption is that if you are in a small pool, then you will not be finding blocks. However, just to show you that that is not necessarily true, I've been mining with coin miners, and so right now I've turned on my miner because of my stupid internet setup, but I provide over 100 mega hash on average, which right now this is 83. So I mean the hash rate varies throughout the 24-hour periods, and I mined throughout the night, this night, regularly, and I drummed out 4 blocks just on my 100 mega hash rig. So if you notice here, Sunday, the payment came out on Sunday, yesterday at 11 p.m. and then overnight, November 13, at 3 o'clock, 4, 5 o'clock almost, and 7 o'clock, I picked up 4 blocks. What coin miners also does is they provide a rewarders or finders reward, which is 59, I think it's like 2-point-something% for a block, 59 meowcoin, which is I guess 60, so 100, you know, 100, what is it, 240 meowcoin plus or minus few cents, just for the rewarders, refiners reward is what I was given. And the payments on meowcoin are pretty consistent. So I have it set to payouts of 100 meowcoin. And if you notice the times here, it's yesterday 10 p.m., 10:42, 11:42, 12:12, 12:42, 1:26, 1:56. So in some cases almost every 30 minutes, and so the payouts go out on a regular basis just with 100 mega hash. On smaller amounts, when I was mining with one rig, with one GPU, the payouts were obviously smaller because I was contributing a smaller amount of hash power. However, the payouts kind of depend on how much hash power you provide to the pool. So let's have a look at what the internet has to say about which size of mining pool to choose from. Choosing a mining pool out of the dozen that are optional, operational can seem like a daunting task. Which pool is the best for an individual miner depends on what miner's goals, experiment, equipment, and preferences. Basically, the more hash power you have, I guess, when it comes to coins like meowcoin, not necessarily Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's been around for so long, and the difficulty of the blocks has increased drastically. Meowcoin is still a relatively new coin, and the difficulty of the blocks is lower than it would be on Bitcoin or coin that has been around for a longer, which generated a lot more blocks by now. The rewards received will depend on the difficulty of the block, the overall hash rate for the network, and the amount of hash power that you provide to the pool or to the overall network. With more hash rate comes a higher probability of regularly solving blocks and claiming rewards. So the more hash power there is, if a pool is bigger, then I guess it guarantees or warrants a stability in a sense. Joining a larger pool generally offers more regular payouts. smaller pools with fewer machines and lower hash rate aren't significantly more profitable than solo mining without a pool altogether. But an individual miner has the advantage of potentially claiming a larger percentage of the payouts by joining a smaller pool. So there's kind of a trade-off. The idea is that if you join a larger pool with more hash rate, your payouts will be more consistent because the hash rate is larger, and so more blocks will be found more consistently, and so you will receive I guess stable payouts. The trade-off is that because the pool has more hash in it, the percentage of your return will be smaller because each block is divided amongst all the miners that contributed to the solving of the problem. And so depending on how much hash power there is, the amount of hash power that you supply will be categorized based, I guess, on the percentage of what it constitutes, what your hash power constitutes, and that's the amount of rewards that you will receive. So for example, I guess if you contribute to a larger pool and the percentage of your contribution makes up maybe 1% or less than 1%, then that's the amount of reward that you will receive. The reward you would receive would be equal to 1 or less percent depending on what percentage your hash power constitutes. Now, if you are in a smaller pool, which may be finding fewer blocks, the trade-off would be that the hash power that you contribute will represent a larger percentage of the overall pool, which means that you will receive a larger percentage of that pool's revenue. So if you, for example, if you contribute, like for me, if I contribute 100 mega hash to a pool that has, you know, a 1 giga hash, which is a 1000 mega hash, my contribution would be 10%. But if I'm in a smaller pool that contributes, for example, 500 mega hash, my contribution would be 20%. So there is that. Now, if I guess you could do the mathematics. If, you know, 1000 mega hash pool receives, let's say 2 or 10 blocks in an hour, then I would receive 10% 10 times, which would equate to 100%, I guess a full block. And if I was in a smaller pool and I was receiving 20% out of each block, and let's say that smaller pool found 5 blocks instead of 10 blocks for that hour, I would still be getting the same amount of rewards. 20% times 5, still 100%. I would still receive that 1 block. The one main difference, I guess, between large and small pools would be that there is a higher consistency. But from what the articles state, a lot of them, the amount of rewards basically balances out. There is a discussion on Reddit. Quick question about how the probability of mining changes or doesn't in larger, smaller pools. From what I understand, all miners in one pool mine the same block until it is found. I think that the probability of the block stays constant. Let's say it's 1 in, what is that, a million? Yeah, 1 in a million. In a smaller pool, it would take a certain amount of time for us to compute the right answer for this block, while in a larger pool, it will take less time. However, the probability of finding the block does not change. Or in other words, the luck doesn't increase in a larger pool. So this is a question that this person poses. The larger pool just does more tries per second on the block. So what are some of the answers? Larger pools pay slightly more because they find blocks sooner than smaller pools, and earlier blocks are typically of lower difficulty, like on meowcoin. However, because Ethereum, so this is in relation to Ethereum, before it turned into proof of stake, has such a short block time, this isn't a big issue. So this wasn't a problem. It's more so for Bitcoin with 10-minute block times. Second, large pools seem less likely to steal from users. I suspect this is because the 1% fee that most pools take provides enough profit for a large pool, but not a small pool. So this touches upon the ethics in the mining community. So another thing you want to do is make sure that you are in a pool that is ethically sound, that the people who are running it, have their ethics in order, are ethical, and don't choose to steal. For miners like myself, if you're not very clued into the code and all that stuff, an algorithm can include the fees that are being sent to the pools that are deducted from each mining rig, which is not necessarily something that every miner will look into, and basically unsuspectingly send more than they want to send to the pool and keep less for themselves, I guess. So this person says, in short, large pools pay slightly better, but the bigger factor is whether the pool operator is ethical. So far, the only honest pools I've found are Ethermine and whatever. So he's saying that there was a bunch of pools that were basically stealing from the miners, which is not cool at all. This one said they are the biggest offenders in Zcash mining. They steal 20% on average for miners. That's crazy, 20%. So coin miners right now charge 1%, which is a small fee, and most of the pools charge the same amount. On Medium, who wrote this article? This article is written by Praful Ala Vikar. And the takeaway from this article is here. Should we go with a big pool or a small pool? Over time, this means there is no real difference. Whether the size of the pool you join, your hashing power is the same percentage of the overall networks, and thus over time you should earn the same percentage. So he's saying that the percentage of your rewards is based on the overall networks percentage. So if like in the case of meowcoin, the network's producing 64 gigahash, then the percentage that you receive will be based on that number, not necessarily on the number of hashes that are present in any given of the pools. A big pool over time will win more blocks than a small pool, but your percentage contribution of hash rate to the pool will be smaller. You're going to get a smaller proportion of the winnings than you would in a smaller pool. So that's the point I was making earlier. If you are in a larger pool, you will get rewards more consistently, but the rewards will be smaller than you would be receiving if you were in a smaller pool. However, if you are in a smaller pool, the rewards will be, I guess, fewer. That's the perception. Although again, on my small rig of 100 mega hash, I was able to drum out 4 blocks overnight, which is, the equivalent of 100 or 200, almost 240 meowcoin. This is in addition to, I guess, a couple of thousand meowcoins that I did mine overnight. However, larger pools have one advantage. The larger the pool, the more frequently you'll earn a cut. That means more frequent earnings than from a smaller pool. These earnings will be smaller, so more frequency but smaller. You can't beat the math. You're not going to earn more than your percentage of the earnings represented by your percentage of the hash rate. Over the long term, that is, over the short term, you might earn considerably more or considerably less, whichever choice you make. So you could make less over short periods of time, but you will over long periods of time, your income will average out. I had a chat about this on the Discord channel of the meowcoin. So, and these are some of the answers that I received. So Meowmancer says on the exchange. So by the way, meowcoin Discord the community is pretty good. If you join, I would suggest join the Discord and tune in. But basically, Meowmancer says hash rate changes and different pools have different pings while submitting blocks. Pings are these things that computers send out in order to check whether the computer on the other end is actually receiving, join the network, and if it's receiving information. Since the hash rate changes constantly, you really can't use the same math for earnings. For everyone thinks it will just average out, but this is not the case, not when hash rate varies. So again, I run my rig through Hive OS, and when stable, it shows that it's 117 plus hash rate. So I've got right now 7 GPUs. Each one produces about 15 to 16 mega hash per second, and those vary as well. Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 16. And on the mining pool, I've had hash rates listed at 400, I think, hash rate at some point. For some strange reason, I have no idea how that happened. And sometimes it was at 40 for that same rig. So hash rates vary. When hash rates varies, your chance of finding a valid solution changes. With ping, it comes down to some pools with lots of hash rate also get orphans. So Meowmancer is suggesting that because in larger pools there are more pings are being sent out, and more blocks will come back, or more information will come back with possible blocks, but these blocks will not be actually mined because they're not actual blocks. Someone solo or a smaller, more nimble pool submits quicker than you. So there can absolutely be differences in pools. I find that the combination of lowest fees, best support, and medium-sized hash rate is best. Enough to find blocks regularly, but not too much where ping risks orphans. Craig D from Coin Miners says, I think the main difference between large pools and smaller when it comes to payout is consistency with larger pools with more hash. If over a period of time you will get roughly the same amount of coins as our percentage of the block, heavier percentage of the block reward is larger on the smaller pools. So this is what I was making, the point I was making before, that larger pools pay out more often, but since it's a larger pool and you're a smaller fish in a big pond, your reward will be smaller. The big issue with miners mining to the large pools is it allows a single pool to control the majority of the hash rate, and as such it introduces centralization risk. This concentration of power goes against this decentralized nature of blockchain and cryptocurrencies in general, making the network more susceptible to manipulation or attacks. Nobody can stop a miner from mining to a pool, and there are others out there that are great and have great support, but I would challenge anyone to mine to a large pool for a week and then a smaller one to see what the difference is in reward. So Craig is saying, challenging people to actually switch between larger and smaller pools and see if there is an actual difference in the amount of coins mined. So to conclude, whether you choose to mine in a big or a small pool, there are a couple of things you need to consider before doing so. First, understand that you being in a bigger pool does not necessarily mean that you will receive more rewards. Depending on the amount of hash rate you provide to that pool and the size of that pool, your hash rate will represent a percentage of the overall hash rate of that particular pool, and so your reward will be the percentage of the overall reward based on the percentage of your hash rate in that pool. Bigger pool means more frequent rewards, but smaller amounts. Smaller pools may mean fewer rewards, but higher. The second thing you need to consider is how decentralized or centralized you want the project or the network to be. In the case of meowcoin, we are in the present time of centralization, and it seems like 52% of it all is centralized on Woolly-Poly. And I gotta say, Woolly-Poly is great. It's a really good website. It's very easy to use, and I think the main reason for why they are the main one is because they do provide that what to mine explanation on their website, and they pop up as number 2 on Google. So when you type in what to mine and you get your GPUs selections, you've got the main what to mine website. Actually, if you just go here and just type in what to mine, you will get what to mine, and then Woolly Pulley is the second one that pops up. And this is probably the main reason for why Woolly Pulley does have the largest number of miners on meowcoin, because meowcoin was the most profitable coin just recently. But when people type in what to mine, they try to figure out what to mine their, on their GPUs. Woolly Pulley pops up as the second pool here. And they provide a lot of coins, so obviously people go there and sometimes they switch between coins. Coin Miners has quite possibly a smaller selection of coins available. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at what coins they have, because I only use meowcoin. But they do have plenty. They've got enough coins listed that you can have your selections from. You can choose different coins from their selections rather. So also, since Woolly Pulley is such a big pool, I have no idea how many people there are in it. I would say that Coin Miners is a lot more accessible. So right now, Coin Miners, the people running Coin Miners are involved in meowcoin, and they're they're on the Discord. You can talk to them. They actually they helped me set up my rig when I was going through, when I was just hooking it up. One of the guys was very kind and very helpful. So that's another benefit of joining a smaller pool. The people are not as overrun with questions, and they're a lot more ready to help people out, the community out, in setting up, especially people like myself who are new to the mining industry, the miners who are new to the game and still learning. So I very much appreciate being part of the Coin Miners pool right now, because I'm able to ask stupid questions that I have no answers to, and these guys have had plenty of time to experience what mining is like, and they've got all the answers necessary, and they're patient enough to take my questions and answer them in order to help me with setups and any hiccups that may come up. So these are the reasons why I think joining a smaller pool is actually better, to help the decentralization, to help yourself, especially if you're a new miner. You're not just a small fish that disappears in giant pond. If you join meowcoin in a smaller pool, I mean for any other pool as well, if you join in a smaller pool, you will be more likely to have access to the people who are running the pool, and so you'll be able to ask them questions and they'll be able to answer them for you. But also, of course, check out the algorithm and make sure that the pools are not overcharging you for using them, because nobody wants to get scammed in that really shitty way. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I hope this answers some of your questions and clarifies the reasons for why joining a large over a smaller pool, or joining a smaller pool over a large pool, may actually be better. I hope that helps. So make sure, if it does, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and of course come back for another video tomorrow. I really gotta make that rig video hopefully tomorrow. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.